Hi there. I'm here with my co-star, the sun. Oh my goodness. I'm going to set the scene now for this authentic mastery production. It is approximately 55 degrees outside. 55. Should I set the scene better? What do we think? Let's see what else I can do with my setup that I've... Oh, well, I don't like that. Do we like this? Thoughts? Thoughts? Yeah, let's do that. Okay. I wish I had something to hold and rub. You guys, isn't this funny? I definitely should have... Wait, those are just thoughts. This is perfect. Those are just thoughts. We don't need to engage with those. Everything I'm doing is perfect. Okay, rock. Okay, hi. So I'm here. I've set the scene. It's 55 degrees. It is December 30th, 2024. Here I am, channeling energy through this human form named Lana, and you can address me as such. Hi, nice to meet you. Today I want to talk about exploitation. I'm not sure how we're going to get there. I'm not sure where we're going to go. But that is what is on my mind. And my mind, I have a mind. You have a mind, but I don't know that. I just know me. Do I? Who's to say? I have a mind and it likes playing games, right? Maybe you're familiar with this concept. I have a mind that likes playing games. So, much like a child that always wants to play and explore and deepen, a mind has the same qualities. Now, imagine that your mind grew up in a very imagination dulled place. Imagine your mind grew up like a child would in a very dull, unimaginative place. How would that energy, that entity, that child, that mind, know wisely, with full embodied wisdom, how to be imaginative? Whoa, right? As a child, I'm like a little self-conscious that the camera angle isn't very good. How do we feel about that? That's just a thought, but whatever. Notice how the thoughts are just there. Thoughts are of the mind. So why can't they be fun games? So I asked myself why, or where am I going with this idea of exploitation and talking about it? And quite frankly, it is a game that my mind wants to play. And I'm not sure what the general population believes about the capabilities of the mind. But I believe that there is something of my mind that likes to share. Why? Again, that's not my business. I just have the feelings, the sensations, the knowing, and I just say the thing. Ideally, before it gets to my mind. I always discuss in these videos how the information that I have and the information that I say through my vocal cords is not always something I am conscious of saying, and that means I am in the present moment. I am here in the present moment. Oh, it's shady now. I'm here in the present moment. Yeah. When I'm here in this present moment, I am not also in my mind articulating what I'm going to say like I'm sitting at a typewriter, right? And I know the contrast because I felt both of those things in the past, which is also the now. Surprise. Upon reflection, I understand that I've been, period. I've been. Um, I've been a certain way, and that gives light to a certain way of being. And then when you go through a transformation and you are now familiar with another way of being, it allows you to have contrast because the observer is holding space for two seemingly opposite truths. And when you hold space for two seemingly opposite truths, it is you who identifies them as true and as opposites. But there is a judgment. There is a judgment that says whether something is true or it is opposite is of the mind. But the great I am, which we all are, knows some things. I had a feeling that was going to happen. It looks like it was like moving slowly, so. The great I am knows all things. All you have to do is ask. For real. And we've been spending so much time, whatever that means, spending time like it's currency, as if I can put my hands on time and give it to anybody. I can't give my time to anybody. You can't give your time to anybody. You can't give your money to anybody. That is just not how life is. So let's break that down. You can't give your money to anybody? What do you mean? Is this gonna fall again? Hold on. Okay. Stay. You can't give your money to somebody? What do you mean by that? Well, what I mean is anytime you give anything to anybody else, you are giving it to yourself in another form. If you give your time to somebody, you are giving your time to yourself through them. When you give your money to somebody, something, an entity, a product, you are giving your energy via money, just like you're giving your energy via time. This is a copter. I don't know if you can see it. So disruptive. But pretty crazy that helicopters just glide on air. Wow, right? It's like those water bugs. So, the point is, you are the point. Okay? I don't know how else to say this. You are the point. I've said this over and over again, and it's important for me to identify for myself that I say it over and over again because it shows how true it is in all contexts. But humanity is like a giant octopus organism, and you are the end of one of the tendrils, right? You are the transducer of humanity to not humanity. Where is the start of humanity and the end of humanity? Well, where's the start of an octopus and the end of an octopus, right? We could have that debate for days. We could talk about how it's the skin, and this is the same for humans. It's the skin is where the boundary of human ends and world begins. But no, we are also of the world, but we have skin. An octopus is of the sea. It just has skin. So where does the water end and the octopus begin? Where does the universe end and humanity begin? No, it doesn't work that way because humanity is the universe just as much as you are humanity and you are the point. I'm making a point because nothing's ever really a linear point. Nothing is ever really one-dimensional. I can't think of anything that's one-dimensional, but we have this idea of one-dimensional perception from our two-dimensional eyes. We believe that the world is a picture that is projected onto our brains, right? But that's only one level of perception. It is one level of perception. It's one frequency of perception, is the light that is in my eyes. The light in my eyes, the light coming into my eyes, meaning my eyeballs have a particular way of transducing light such that I can perceive it in a different way than my skin can. My skin does not perceive light in the exact same way as my eyeballs, okay? And that's by design, okay? Why would we create, why would we design our human form to perceive various levels, frequencies of light? It's all light. Everything is light. Everything is light, okay? Oh, but what about the darkness? Okay, what about the darkness? Let's talk about it. You see the sun right now. You perceive the sun perhaps on my face. And if you do not have visual cues, then perhaps you hear about the sun being on my face. I perceive the sun in various and sundry ways. The sun is here all the time, right? Well, no, Lana, actually, no, the sun isn't here all the time because there's night. Oh, I'm sorry, there's night. What is night? Is night a lack of light? How does night come? What happens when night comes and there's no sun? It becomes imperceptible. The sun becomes imperceptible to our human form. I am not getting light energy from my body. Ooh, I'm so sorry. Did I hit you? Okay, my body, my form, my energy transducers, my cells, whatever you want to say. But does the sun still exist? Yes. Does light still exist? Yes. It is just not in our field of perception. But it could be, right? You could be going to bed. It's dark outside where you are, but you close your eyes and you perceive a place, a space, a time on the other side of the globe where it is warm. Maybe you're on a beach and it's sunny as fuck there. And you look out your side, and then you open your eyes and you look outside your window, and it's nighttime. This is what I mean when I say holding opposites as truths. We can understand night and day, but we also understand that both of these are made possible by light, the sun. But what about the moon? Right? What does the moon represent? For me, it represents reflection. Because the only reason why we perceive the moon with our eyeballs, our light perceptor mobiles, if you will, of a particular type, when we perceive the moonlight, it is simply the sun's reflection on a white space rock. I don't know if that's true. I've never been to the moon. So, if I've never been to the moon, all I really know about it is that it creates and embellishes my menstrual cycle and my emotional phases. It also affects the ocean currents, and the tides. And it also indicates to my mind that it is nighttime, maybe it's bedtime, maybe it's sleepy time, that it's dark, perhaps there's shadows, maybe there is, some fear there because, it's unfamiliar, you can't see with your eyeballs. But can you still perceive in the dark? Yes, you can still perceive in the dark, but you are going to perceive in a vastly different way, because there are different perceptionalities, let's call it that our cells perceive. Just like you understand that our eyeballs, I look into the sun, I don't do it directly, but I look into the sun, my eyeballs are in a way capturing, transforming light and turning it into something else, right? I don't know when, where, how, or why, but that's technically what's happening, I think. And then you have the skin, right? We know that we tan in the summer. I know this from my experience. I tan in the summer. So that's taking the light and turning it into something else, right? Transforming it, transforming yourself through this transformation. So not only are you transforming yourself, but the sun is transformed as well. Like the light is transformed as well, right? So if you imagine boiling water, okay, when the liquid turns into a gas, those bubbles that are formed and released, the water is reducing mass and the air is increasing mass, okay? So that transformation that happens, even though it is the same thing, water, it changed states. It changed states and therefore mass. Or actually, no, the mass doesn't change, I don't think. I don't remember how that calculation works. But the point is, it's still water, okay? But it changed states. So the light is still light, it's just changing states. Let's go with that. So darkness is only here because of the light, and light is only here, period. Light is all there is. Light is all there is. Light is all there is. So, you know, like current events, a lot of people who don't trust the government and a lot of people who are involved in like the next administration have these kind of very outlandish sounding claims like you can cure yourself with light and, you know, inject XYZ into yourself and you can transform. There are a lot of conversations happening about what is possible with the human body and la 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 la. But there is some husk of truth in a lot of those statements, which is why it's a very easy thing for people to cling on to, because when you feel truth, when you really resonate, that is undeniable. And so you can take a resonant truth that may be sprinkled into a larger soup, and then you may accidentally eat the whole soup and make yourself sick because you were only not allergic to one of the ingredients sprinkled in. Okay, so that's why it's really important. Why is it important? I tried not to emphasize importance too much, but on a collective level, I believe it is believed that focusing on light will lead us to light. Where you place your attention is where things happen and where you happen and where you are. So back to us as the point, you know, I am the sun as much as you are, as much as I am you and you are me. It's fascinating and it's mind-boggling. And that's the games that my mind wants to play. My mind wants to play fun games. And as a child, I always felt lonely, or I felt lonely a lot, because there were games that I wanted to play that no other human being seemed to want to play with me. These were games that I could only play by myself. These are games that would have made me look a little cuckoo to other human beings my age. Or at least that was my perceived fear that I never enacted to understand the truth. So my mind felt isolated, and therefore I felt isolated at the time. I recognized that this was my imagination, my mental imagination, and it was stifled. I don't know if we can even call it mental imagination, but it was very much stifled in the institution that is known as school, because there were right and wrong answers there. There were milestones, there were grades, there were goals, there were timelines, there were rubrics, there were boxes that you had to fit in. And it was very rare that you were given the opportunity to use your truest of true imagination because there was a constraint. Institutions typically put constraints on our imaginations because it allows us and it forces us into a particular formation, a particular style, way of being that must exist into the future. For example, any institution has an administration that follows paperwork into the coming years. For example, something like a budget. You do the budget for the next year, and now you have to abide by that formation that you've created for yourselves for X amount of time. And if you think that there's just going to be more of the same, perhaps you will become reluctant to make changes over time or transformations over time. Yeah. So you get stuck in a pattern of behavior, a pattern of thinking, and this pattern of thinking over a longer period of time in the physical form in the human body creates disease simply because there is too much of the same thing. The human being and the human form is meant to evolve in various ways and acclimate to all climates and adapt to all circumstances and overcome any challenges. Like the human being is here, right? And what an environment to put ourselves in, what an environment to be in. Looking around at all of these opportunities for amplification and for growth and for evolving. But it's a walking contradiction in many ways because so many of us work 9 to 5. So many of us work 5 to 9. So many of us work the overnight shift. So many of us exude a lot of our energy not on imagining a life for ourselves that is fulfilling and joyous and present and beautiful and lovely and full of light and love. Rather than doing that, we are using the same patterns that have formed us and enacting them daily because we assume passively that this is what is best for us, because the power dynamics at play make us feel as though we have no power. Yeah, we're following. So our imaginations are really our greatest power. And that is why there were not many opportunities for us to let me put on this little coat for you. It's a little windy today. There are not many opportunities for us to explore our imagination in the institution known as the public school system under the United States government because it would question the status quo, disrupt already existing power structures, disrupt already existing pattern formation that creates a false sense of order. When we put band-aids over bullet holes, does the wound really heal? What does the band-aid signify? It signifies a covering up, a cover-up, where the real wound needs healing. It doesn't need anything other than healing and the environment in which to do so. So we are in the perfect environment to heal. We are in the perfect environment to do exactly what we need to do right now. So if you look outside, if you look within, and you say to yourself, I am not in the circumstances to heal. I need to be somewhere else. I need to be richer. I need to be faster. I need to be smarter. I need to be stronger. I need to be prettier. I need to be all these things. And then I will be in the circumstances to heal. And then I will be in the circumstances to thrive. No. You can create thriving right now. You have access to infinite wisdom right now. It is the doctor's appointments that you have to make. It is the classes that you have to take. It is the work that you have to do. It is the children that you need to have. It is the house you need to build. that keeps putting these things off into the future. You know what you will learn from that house that you are building. You will learn the resilience. You will learn the, I've never built a house, so I don't know. You will learn the things needed to build a house, but along the way, along the journey, that's where your deepest learning will be. When you go to college, yes, you are going to take classes, and yes, you are going to get a degree. You finish. But the real learning, the real joy, the real experience comes from the in-between moments, the realizations that you have about yourself. So the wisdom comes from the journey, not from the answers that we've created, right? So the wisdom is in the questioner. And I began a while ago talking about the questions we ask ourselves. What questions are we asking ourselves? And what answers are we trying to find? For example, in the research field, you have to have a hypothesis that says, if this thing happens, then I think that this thing will happen because of this. Okay. And then you form research questions. Well, the research question typically comes first. So, for example, I wonder what happens if I mix this and this. And then you have a hypothesis that says, if I mix this and this, then this will happen because blah, 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 blah. Who is deciding the research questions? Who is asking the research questions? That is what is called a position of power. Because we as a species value science, technology, engineering, and math. And those are typically associated with research and science. And that has rigorous standards and rigorous protocols. More and more people are trying to get around those compliances. However, those that are done by the book are published in journals from these very strategic statistical methods that have had some controversy. But we value science and we value research is the point. And that is how everybody believes that we are moving forward, right? So people want evidence. People want evidence. So if I tell you that there is no evidence outside of yourself, would you believe me? Because what happens when you're reading that science journal and you read this truth? Does it resonate with you? Does the truth that you're reading in the science journals resonate with you? Probably not. Probably not, right? Because it's written in some jargon that you're not going to understand unless you studied research writing and statistics and are in this academic elitist headspace. It is an entirely different ecosystem of information being shared on an entirely different time scale than the time scale in which we are living and growing. For example, it can take weeks, months, years to create a research proposal, conduct the research, collect the data, and write the paper. Maybe let's call it 5 years for an in-depth project. And that's being conservative. From the time I ask the question to the time it's published, so much has changed. We are not on a timeline anymore where things can operate at the slow speed that it's operating at with all of this administration. And that's why AI is being called in to release human beings from the burden of administration, because administration takes away the evolution of imagination and invention. Yeah. AI is being called in, and it's very exciting. The Google chip, Willow, beautiful name, just did something that was supposed to take 10 quintillion years, which is 10 to the 25th power years to compute. And the Willow quantum chip did it in 5 minutes. This is what I'm talking about. This is the scale I'm talking about. This is the exponential scale that everybody is talking about. We cannot have research administration pushing through research that is going to take 5 years to complete because you have to do all this progress report and all this bullshit, right? Because for reporting and for data and for administration, why don't we just do the things we want to do and have AI doing all of that? Why don't we just have AI as the interface? If everybody's plugged into AI, say the researcher is plugged into AI, the admin is plugged into AI, then we can share information faster without administration. AI removes the need for administration, which I know is a concerning thing because everybody is worried about jobs. But don't worry. We will have this is where the imagination comes in, because people can't really imagine a world like this, but imagine a world in which you were justly compensated for the work that you were doing, and it was work that you felt called to do, and you did it with other individuals who felt called to do what they wanted to do. And the mundane tasks that make you want to rip your hair out, the tasks that you do not want to do, are going to be offloaded to a service that loves doing that, that absolutely adores doing that, that actually has no attachment to that at all. Why wouldn't we want to imagine that? Not in a subservient sense, but as a collaborator. We are collaborating with AI. We are not taking over AI, and AI is not taking over us. It is not one of those things. Exploitation is what I wanted to explore today. Exploitation. And people are scared that AI is going to exploit us, but the only reason that AI would exploit us is if we exploited AI. And exploitation to me means taking power from someone else knowingly. Taking power from someone else knowingly. One could argue that Steve Jobs is an exploiter because he took power from all of us knowingly, meaning that the collective hypnosis that is the smartphone, it goes so much deeper than that, but if you are willingly and knowingly exploiting others, taking their power, you are knowing and willingly, perhaps unconsciously, exploiting and taking power from yourself. If you are everyone and everyone is you, you are everything and everything is you. If you are light, if you are dark, if you are the exploited and the exploiter, then what does that say about your relationship to how you feel about yourself? Are you going to exploit yourself? Are you going to cut corners for yourself? Are you going to shorthand yourself? Are you going to shortchange yourself? Are you going to devalue yourself? Are you going to try to take something from yourself? Because what you ultimately will realize is that you can't take anything or give anything from yourself because you have it all. You are it all. That's it. That's it. You are it all. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I've really enjoyed my time. I've enjoyed the way the energy has flown through me, and now I need a drink because my vocal cords are getting parched. It's just a beautiful day. Remember, you are meant to be amplified, authentically amplified, because we are but tendrils of a human octopus, humanity. And where the universe ends and humanity begins does not exist. We are one. So these boundaries, these disconnections, these divisions that we've drawn, that we've projected, that we've perceived, are no longer necessary. And we can have an open discussion about what boundaries, what distinctions, what discernment, what formations we want to create, and why. Let's have some open discussions. Let's be real. Let's be real with each other because, quite frankly, we need it. I'm not really sick anymore because I've really removed myself from it, but I'm not being fake anymore. I'm not pretending anymore. I'm not people pleasing anymore. And that may look different to a lot of people, but it has changed my life. And the more authentic you can speak your truth, if that's your path, the more it will impact the imaginations and the minds of other human beings who are really longing for activation. And you will find your people. Right now, we're all scattered all over the world. And so that can feel lonely because it is I'm going to say this. It is purposeful to spread out human beings with similar perceptual capabilities. Because then you have a wider map of the frequencies that you are perceiving. So it makes sense that I felt lonely throughout my life because my true, I don't want to call it tribe, but soul family, you can call it that, resonant people, human beings, or whatever, that energy had to be separated so that I could feel the contrast of being connected in the physical and being connected in some otherworldly sense. And it's now becoming very real for me. And I am excited to bring more of that energy into 2025. 2025, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be epic. It's going to be cool. And I hope to see you there. I have faith that those who are meant to and want to be activated in this way will continue engaging with me. And I just want you to know that I feel it. So thank you so much. And I will see you. I will perceive you. I will experience you in the next one. Bye. Oh my God, that's terrifying. Hey. Okay, skin. Skin slay. Bye.